Welcome back to the press, and now we've been joined by our guest for International Women's Day. Her name is Salamatu Sule, right? I hope I didn't murder your name. Salamatu Sule. She's the CEO of Fahimta Literary Discourse and board member, Skills Outside School Foundation, SOSF. You're welcome, ma'am.
Welcome, ma'am. My pleasure.
Yeah. All right, now I'd like to go first. Today is International Women's Day, and I'd like to say Happy International Women's Day to start with. But what does the theme of this year, what does it mean to you?
So, so today is International Women's Day globally, and we're celebrating that globally. What it means to me, I mean, International Women's Day is a very important day to every woman globally because we have peculiar issues around the world. And this year's thematic focus, which is Digital for All, innovation and technology to embracing equality. So for me, it's one very important thematic focus that we should look at, looking at the so much issues around women and the gaps that we're yet to, fill in. It therefore means that we need to pay attention to this year's theme because women are doing a lot from their little corners, and we need to amplify our voices. We need to support one another. If we're not doing that, nobody is going to do that for us.
Absolutely.
Yes. And the more we begin to recognize that we need to do that, the more the better for us. Because if you go back to statistics now, you'll find out that the rate of the girl child has dropped alarmingly due to COVID-19, and now everybody is studying from the house. We still do not have access to e-learning materials, which is one of the things that SOSF has been very concerned about lately. So this year's theme is one very important thing that we need to take seriously.
Okay, just like you have mentioned that equality gap needs to be bridged. So what other aspects do you think needs to be bridged when you talk about this? Because I think I noticed in the current senators-elect, list, we have just 3 women. 1 is returning and 2 elected. And we had 7 before now. Only 1 of them returned re-elected. In the political space, there seems to be a gap that needs to be filled, if I'm right. So what other places, what other spaces do we need to get filled?
Now, it's very important to take note that not every spaces have been so much filled in terms of issues around women, right from cultural practices to issues of the girl child abuse, to the girl child education, to technological know-how, to political aspect of it all. I mean, we are still way behind in terms of all of that, and for us to actually begin to fill this gap is to go back to the drawing board to see where we got it wrong. Have we been relying so much on men that we're not doing our homework ourselves? If we need to do our homework ourselves, how do we need to go about it? Today's modern day, there are technologies everywhere. How have we try to use this technological know-how to put ourselves out there, both digitally, culturally, and socio-political, economic empowerment for the woman? How have we been doing it? So you see, we have this aspect where the man always sits on the table to define the affairs of women, while the woman is the one out there on the field doing the work. Little recognition is given to her with regards to this, so much that she's done to contribute to the society. I think this narrative needs to change.
I like that. And you spoke about how the narrative needs to change. And how do you think the gender-responsive approach to innovation and technology, and of course this year's theme, digital education, increase the awareness of women and girls regarding and the civic engagement? I mean, we of course need to brief the girl child, like you said, there should be sensitization, or don't you think so?
Yes, so there needs to be sensitization. We have been doing that. But how have the sensitization processes that we put on the table helped to channel the awareness of the girl child in that positive direction? If we have been trying to do that and it's not working, do we need to come back on board to say, okay, is this where we got it wrong? How do we then need to go about it? Now that we are in a digital age, how can we now use the technology to help amplify that process of awareness? It's a good thing now we're all embracing equality, but how do we go about it in our campaign that will help put the girl child out there and to further help to change the narrative? How can the journalists who are doing their work every day help to bring about the plight of the Nigerian women and that of the girl child to the fore, so that the society can begin to see where it has gone wrong and how it can proper solution to these whole issues. I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, we have a Sarah Jibrin in this country who actually voted for herself. I think she has just one vote, and it therefore means she voted for herself. So where are all the women? Why are we not supportive? And this year we also have, is it Binani, who actually won her primaries for the governorship of her states. And then I think her case is still in court. So how have women helped to provide support to ensure that she wins? So there are a lot of things that we need to do in terms of providing support for ourselves and not necessarily giving the seats. Each time we come to the table, we always carry our seats ourselves. Should there not be a seat there reserved for us, and then we sit on it and then, solve societal issues together if we are to embrace equity? Because the goal now is to achieve equality.
Now, it is said that when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. And they said when you bring women into the tech, you actually get more creative solutions, not just women and other marginalized groups. How true is this?
Absolutely true, because if you fall back to history, women has always been at the forefront. Where you have a duke, there's always a duchess, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when you have a man, there's always a woman. So it has always been defined that a woman is a confidant. In fact, a woman is a nation builder. And if a society must flourish, then you have to take the woman into cognizance of what you do. And the reason why we've been lacking behind worldwide is because we have refused to affirm that the woman's position in the building of the society is very important. And if we do not take that seriously with regards to, yes, she's a builder of the nation, she's what we call the Mother Earth figure. And if we did not take that as a serious definition of who the woman truly is, then we'll continue to lag behind, we'll continue not to grow. So that's where we are. Very true quotation.
All right, then, there are times when we probably sit down and reflect on our lives and check what we've been doing and if we're actually making an impact, because to change the world, it begins with us individually. So how would you say you've been able to make a difference in your own world when it comes to impacting other women?
Very interesting question. So taking a step is the way forward, and being confident and believing that you can do it. And I tell you, historically, when the system goes bad, the woman comes to claim all of it. And when the system is good, the woman cannot be seen. She's more or less seen as a shadow figure. So for her to begin to realize her potential is for her to stand up and be confident, courageous, and brave towards taking that step to achieving the goal. Which is why I said the woman problem can, first of all, be solved by the woman herself. Because if she does not take that step, there's no way she's going to achieve it, and there's no way the society will look at her differently. Yes.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. Trust me, we're smitten. I'd like to move into why it's important to promote women's empowerment, because could it be said that with the tradition or the cultures we have in our country right now, there's a lot of restrictions, and Olamide already made example of, it feels like there's a decline in women in politics rate right now. So does it feel like we don't talk about this enough, and is there something we need to do different right now as women?
Yes, so women empowerment is to educate the girl child, first of all. Like I said earlier, the rate of out-of-school children worldwide, I think Nigeria have like 20% of it, because especially the north and southern part of the country as well. So to actually change this narrative is to begin to see the education of the child, the girl child, and to also ensure that access to materials, learning materials available, and access to good teaching environments is also available. Now we have schools that are more or less dysfunctional in that state. We have teachers who are not well equipped enough to actually take on the teaching of the students, or the pupils rather. So I think there are a lot of issues, backlog of issues that we need to begin to work on, and that starts with the education process. Once we're able to educate one woman, I think we'll educate more than yes, a lot of others behind her, because like we said, the woman is a builder, and she's going to take whatever she's learned back home, and then that transformation can start from there.
Okay, you agree with me that you give a woman one thing and she has the ability to, of course, multiply it into several things.
Yes.
And of course, we've been talking about sensitizing and advocating for the women empowerment, and I majorly believe in implementation.
Yes.
What do you think we can do to implement these things, and not just talk, but let's talk and do?
Yeah, so you're right. So we're tired of just talking. The thing is, you need to talk the action, or action the talk, and that's where this very theme is taking us to now, because more often than not we get to sit on the table to deliberate on the issues around women, and then we get to do actually take little action. Each time we're always submitting bills for the rights of the girl child, trying to ensure that these bills are being passed and all of that. After that, nothing happens. So how can we ensure that things happen? The only way we can ensure things happen is to ensure that women are more represented in all the three cadre of the house. We need to have them in the House of Representatives. We need to have them in the Senate. We need to have them even at the legislative chambers of the House as well. Because if you do not have a representative, nobody is going to be speaking for you, actually. And those who speak for you will not take that action because they do not know how important such deliberation is to you, and they did not understand the impact, the positive impact that it may bring further to the society. And because we lack this education, the dysfunction is becoming even worse, because once there's a dysfunction in the educational process, empowering becomes also very difficult. Advocacy will not go anywhere because the poverty level is high. So nobody listens, because poverty will now be would have been enthroned at the end of the day, and the whole idea of coming to sit down and deliberate will be defeated.
All right, let me quickly take this UN report. It says, according to UN, Women's Gender Snapshot 2022 report, it says women's exclusion from the digital world has shaved $1 trillion from the gross domestic product to low and middle income countries in the last decade, a loss that will grow to $1.5 trillion by 2025 without action. Now, what other negative impacts do you envisage if women are not fully brought into the tech?
A lot, actually. A lot. Now, one of the biggest negative impact is the loss of the voice. And nothing is more subjugating and oppressive than when you cannot hear your voice. To be voiceless means you are not existent. And I think that's one of the worst things that can happen to any human being in any part of the society, especially a society like ours, where the woman is always subjugated, oppressed, molested, and abused on a daily basis. This statistic is skyrocketing day by day. So for me, that's one of the most deadliest negative impact of it all. Then in technology, you will see that at the end of the day, the kind of the picture of a woman that's been painted will become a negative one, because somebody will have to sit down there and deliberate on your cause. At the end of the day, you did not achieve economic benefits. Your cultural disposition is at stake. Your health disposition is so much bad that every day the maternal infant mortality rate will continue to depreciate and be on the high. So I think the disadvantage of not technologically being empowered and put out there is enormous, and the danger it poses to a society is going to be so much that we cannot even handle.
So what would be your final words to listeners? I just wish we had so much time to continue to listen to you, but what would be your final words to our listeners out there?
So my final word is that we need to keep amplifying the voice of the woman. And we need to understand that the society need women to begin to function. If we do not embrace the women in terms of breaching the equality gap, then we still do have a long way to go. And at Skills Outside School Foundation, we've been doing our own bit to ensure that every girl child has the opportunity to go back to school. And then we've been doing our own bit to ensure that the quality of education that every child gets is of maximum benefit to the society.
Thank you very much,
Salamatu Sule, the CEO of Fahimta, Literary Discourse and board member, Skills Outside School Foundation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us, ma'am. It was nice to have you in the program.
Congratulations on Women's Day.
International Women's Day to you too.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, that's where we wrap up the show on The Press today. I am Olamide Alhassan. See you again tomorrow.
And I am Babajide. And of course, like you heard our guest, she said, amplify your voices and bridge the quality gaps. I am Babajide. See you tomorrow. Bye.